You're listening to News Link Live, uncensored, real, entertaining journalism, minus the corporate pandering, self-censoring, mealy-mouthed reporting of the mainstream media. Here's your host, Genevieve DiNatale.
What did you do prior to going into the YouTube business?
Yeah, so back in the day, I used to work at an after-school program. That was like the first thing I did. I used to do video production and visual arts, helping kids and teens like do video production for like film festivals and stuff like that. So I worked at this place in Harlem called Truce. So that was like back in the day. And then after that, I started working at a gym. And then, when I was working at the gym, this is around the time when I started, working on like coaching. Like I actually did before that, like right in between the helping the kids in the gym. Like that's around the time where I transitioned into doing a lot of YouTube content on dating or relationships. And then it just kept going from there. And then it snowballed. I started writing articles for different websites and stuff. And then I was getting interviewed by people and stuff. So I was like, hey, let me just keep this going. And I saw that I was helping people. So I was like, let me keep it going and make it happen. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were saying earlier that you're giving advice to guys, because you have an easy time picking up women. Well, the reason you have an easy time picking up women is because you're a good-looking guy. And so that's the reason why. No, it sounds like you give advice to guys
right.
who are ugly on how to do a hit and run. Okay, that's what it sounds like to me. Like how to smash once and then run off, because that's not going to be a repeat thing.
But that's the funny part because, it's weird because even like I've had people say, oh, well, you're not a bad looking dude. So that's why it's easy. And I'm like, well, yeah, I get some girls who they think I'm attractive and then they'll like, be attracted to me because of that. But then there's a whole bunch of girls that y'all don't see that don't get with me. So I'm like, that's usually the problem. So like even a lot of my clients, you'd be surprised that there were guys who you would be considered good looking. You're like, why does this guy have a problem? And so there's a lot of like other things that go along with like men attracting women. So there's certain guys that, if they look a certain way, they'll have easier times like attracting women on the front end, but being able to like maintain a situation or being able to get exactly what they want, that's like the hardest part for like all men, you know what I mean? So that's usually like how it goes,
Yeah, but how would you maintain a situation if you're not saying anything to a woman so you can get her in the sack later? Because some of the advice you give is don't say anything because she's trying to weed you out, which is true. I'm always asking questions like, so what do you want? What was your last relationship? Where do you want to go? Why do you want to do that? And that weeds them out, and then I cut them off. And, but the thing is, if a guy's not going to say anything to me, I'm not going to keep talking to him. I'm not going to meet up with him and bang him because I'm a woman. I could have sex with almost anyone because I'm just a woman, and all I need to go is go to a bar and stand there and go, someone have sex with me, and I can take the hottest guy home. It's nothing.
Right. No, I don't tell guys to not say anything to them. I say, look out for women who are going to be responsive to you as a man by you telling her what you want. So basically what I mean is this. So if I'm talking to a girl on a dating site and I say, hey, listen, when are you free? Are you free this weekend so we can get a drink, right? And so all I'm listening to her, or all I'm like looking out for, is to see if she's responding to that. So usually what happens is this: if a woman is interested, what she'll do is you say something like, oh yeah, I'm free Friday, or I'm actually not free this weekend, but I can do Monday. Like she's responding to what I said. Usually women who have like low interest or like they're not really that interested will talk about something else. So that's why I say where if the woman's talking about something else besides what you asked or what you're saying, then that means that she's not really interested in you because she's not cooperating fully. So when a woman is really interested in meeting a guy or talking to a guy, what happens is that based off of what he's saying and what he's doing, she's about that, within reason. Like, and he's not going to say, hey, come rob a bank with me. You know what I mean? Like, but if he's like, hey, let's go get a cup of coffee. If she's interested, she'll be like, cool, where, when, let's make it happen. So if there's a lot of resistance, is more so she's not that interested. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But what about those attractive guys that can't pick up chicks? What are those, socially inept men, or what are you saying is the issue there? Because guys, as you probably know, all women think that the ugly guys that hit on them are creepy, and the hot guys that hit on them are great. That are creepy are great. So and there was a period in my life when any guy over 6 feet tall even waved at me, I was like, it's happening, and then a fling would ensue, and I would be upset. Now, don't even go for tall guys anymore. You know what I mean? So I just don't know what the problem is with like a big, tall, attractive guy hitting on chicks that are like on the lower level. He's a 9, she's a 5.
Right.
You know, can bang her, basically.
Right. Well, the thing is, you have to also take into account the insecurity factor with the woman too. So like a lot of guys, you know, this is why I have clients who people consider good looking confused, because what happens is that sometimes if a guy approaches a woman, she may think he's physically attractive, but then she may think that he's too good looking, or she may think that he's out of her league. So then therefore she's going to reject herself. It's called auto rejecting. So guys also do this too. When a guy sees a woman who he thinks is really hot, he may want to talk to her, but then he's going to say to himself, you know, I would go talk to her, but she seems like she has an attitude, or she seems like the type of girl that's not going to want a guy like me. So he's already rejecting himself. So women also do that. So a guy who's a good looking dude, he might approach a girl and want to talk to her and want to get with her. And then she's like, oh no, I'm okay. You know, and she'll reject him. And he's like, well, what happened? Like, what's going on? And the reason why she rejected him is because she'd rather reject him now than him rejecting her later. And usually I always tell guys, and I tell people, a woman's rejection generally is later. So like a guy's rejection is I approach you, I talk to you or whatever, and you don't want to talk to me, or I try to exchange numbers and you're like, I'm not interested. That's a guy's rejection. A woman's rejection is after I have sex with you, I don't call you. After I have sex with you, I ghost you or whatever. You understand that? So women, the woman that gets approached by that good looking guy, she's like, yeah, but he seems like the type of guy that if we have sex, he may not call me back and I don't want to get hurt. You see what I'm saying? So, and that's the conflict for that guy. It's like, how do I deal with those situations if I'm actually talking to a girl that I might be interested in, but she's being resistant or she has sort of that energy towards her? So there's always those type of things that also happen in those situations. You know what I'm saying? So, you know.
But, you know, since guys are polyamorous, why are they even getting married? I don't get it. I mean, if outside of having kids, I can't really see it, because there's no guy I've ever dated that didn't have a whole roster of women that he had at his beck and call if he was a good looking dude. You know, so what's the point?
You're saying why do these guys
why get married? Why get married? You know what I mean? For a man. Well,
the thing is, the type of guys that get married are either guys who wanted to get married because that's how they were raised. It was like, I got to get a wife and have kids and, you know, have that type of life. So that's in their mind already. You know what I mean? Then you have guys who they, you know, they're in situations where they meet a woman that they actually like beyond just sex and they want a relationship with her. And then that can sometimes carry over to a marriage situation. So even though you might have a guy who can get girls or who's attracted to, you know, or who some girls consider attractive, he might, let's say he's a guy who can have sex easily, like girls are just attracted to him, he has sex. After a while, it gets boring, you know, to a certain extent, meaning like it's cool, but he may also want someone like for other things. And so this is also why, for example, women generally, like you said, you guys can have sex whenever you want. This is why y'all care about, oh, let's talk and I want to get to know you and I want to go out and hang out and do this, because you know you can have sex. So if a guy knows he can have sex, he's past sex, meaning that he's basically, you know, almost on the level of how a woman is sexually, meaning that he's like, I can get it whenever I want. So what else do you have for me that's interesting? And that's what happens with a lot of guys who get to the point where they're able to get a lot of sex. Is like they want more from a woman. Usually guys who can't get sex, they want just sex up front generally, and that's like the most important thing. Guys who can get sex, they're like, I can already get it, so I want something else from you. And then these are the type of guys who could also want a girlfriend or get married or whatever it is like that at a certain time. You know what I mean?
Well, do you think that guys can get all their needs met by one woman? I mean, I found that when I was in a relationship, you know, most of my needs were never met by the guys I was dating. And I was always trying to seek something better. And then I'm so cynical now. I've just written everything off, you know, with relationships and stuff. But, you know, is it possible for one woman to meet one man's needs, all of them?
I don't think anybody can do that. I don't think any person meets any person's needs, whether it's romantic relationship, friendship, whatever it is. But the thing is, you know, we're conditioned in today's society especially in a, you know, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife relationship, to just have that person be that person, even though it usually doesn't work, you know what I'm saying? Because we're not designed that way. But, you know, society has taught us to do that, even though it's not necessarily natural at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the crazy part about it.
Well, and that's what men did. Men created marriage, and now they're complaining about marriage, even though they're the ones who benefit from it. I don't see the benefit for me. When I get in a relationship, I end up doing shit for a guy, you know, cleaning up for him, giving him my freaking money, and then I'm not getting any of my needs met. And then I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm out. I'd rather go watch pornography. I mean, really. You know, so, but then the guys know how to get things, and they know how to execute getting something out of everything, because they won't. I found a lot of guys will not interact with a woman unless they are getting a direct benefit right away.
Oh yeah, well, generally that's kind of like what it is. Well, it depends on the guy though too, because there's different types of there's generally like guys fit in generally two categories. It's either the guy who is more of like the alpha male type of guy who kind of is like, look, this is what I want. This is how I want it. And if you're not going to do what I want, when I want, how I want it, then you're out of here. You know what I'm saying? Then you have the other guy on the other side of the spectrum, and I'm being extreme here, other guy on the other side of the spectrum where he's all about what you want. So he's like, hey, you know, I worship you, whatever you want to do, honey. Yes, dear. And, you know, that's the situation. So, you know, it's either one of those two guys that women are going to have to pick from in general. You know what I'm saying?
Beta males. I've never had a situation with a beta male doing anything for me. It's always like, that would only be a guy looking to use my money eventually, who's nice for the first few days, takes you out on a date, pays for you twice, and he's like, I'm being taken advantage of. Can you give me some money? And they're usually an alpha male. It's not a beta. That my dad told me, oh, you need to get a beta male. I'd like to get a beta male. I can't even access a beta male. Like, where are they?
Then you're going to be bored of them at the end of the day. You're going to be like, this guy sucks. That's always what happens. You know, it's just, it's terrible, you know?
So why are you opposed to prostitution? You know, when some of these guys just want to get laid, they want to have sex, and then you can't really be that straightforward with the woman saying, hey, I want to bang tonight, unless the woman's like in heat or something, and it's like, I'm going to use Bumble today to get laid, and it's a rare occurrence, you know? Why not just go and pay for pussy?
I mean, well, one, if it's legal, then hey, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But in you know, in most states it's illegal, so I'll be like, you know, you don't get caught up in that. Right. But if you're in a situation where it is legal, like where you're in a legal place, I tell guys do what they want to do. The problem I have with it generally is it's not really healthy in a way for dudes who don't know how to get women without doing it. So my thing is this: if you know how to get women without paying, then I think it's okay to pay. And the reason why I say that is because now what you're doing is that you're kind of like just doing it as, let's say you're like, hey, you know, I'm in a crunch for time, or I'm away on vacation real quick, and I just wanted to do this thing real quick. But you're doing it on top of knowing how to do it. But if you don't know how to do it, what happens is that you're going to use it as a crutch. So I'd also say that with like for a guy who's masturbating, like, what a lot of guys do is instead of learning how to actually get a woman, they'll just keep masturbating. So my thing is, you shouldn't even masturbate unless you know how to actually get sex from a real woman. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you don't know how to get sex from a real woman, all you're going to do is keep masturbating and using that as a crutch so that you don't have to deal with actually getting a real woman. So then you stay in that cycle. You see what I'm saying? And that's the problem also with guys paying for sex a lot of times with prostitutes, is that if you can't get it without paying, you should be paying. That's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? That's how I look at it, you know? Because that's going to be a crutch, you know? It's crazy.
Do you try to tell these guys how to make the sex good for a woman? Because if she's going to hook up with, usually what I found with the casual sex is that it's not good sex. So why the hell would I do that again? You know, subject myself to that nonsense. And then I got to deal with all the societal double standards and bad sex on top of it. It's like, no thanks. I'm washing myself clean of that. So what about guys, you know, you get laid and then you do it right instead of just getting your dick sucked, getting your dick wet, and then running away. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, the thing is, a lot of guys, unfortunately, they don't have a lot of practice having sex to get good. So what happens is when they finally get some, you know, it's kind of like, just let me do my thing and get out of here, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and I mean, if you keep having sex with a guy, usually, and this is the thing, for men and women, it's not like one night stands, you know, are rarely that amazing because You know, and even sometimes the first time you have sex with someone is really that amazing. And that's because y'all not used to each other's bodies yet. You don't really know what each other likes. You know what I'm saying? You're just sort of first getting into that sort of motion with that person. And on top of that, you don't even necessarily know if y'all are sexually compatible. So you won't know actually if you're sexually compatible with someone until after you have sex with them for that first time. So once you have sex with them the first time, you look, okay, I can work with this. Like I liked it. It was pretty good. But and then if you keep having sex with that person, y'all start to know each other's bodies more, know what each other like. You'll probably communicate a little better, and then the sex gets better. But usually the first time or casual sex generally is never, like, I'm not gonna say never, but most of the time it's not that amazing for most people because it's kind of like you're both just kind of getting your feet wet in each other's sort of like energy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So when the people you work with and the guys that call into your show, do you find that a lot of them are entitled and they don't comprehend their failings, and that's what their inability is to get guys? I used to be fat. I know that's why I lost a lot of weight. Okay. I know that my age is an issue. I know I have all these problems. I know what my problems are with respect to dating, but I find that a lot of guys, 5s and below, have no clue that they have nothing to add to a woman's life. And then they're out there trying to get overreach for much better women, and then they get butt hurt when they get rejected. And I mean, what's up with this with guys?
Well, the thing is, people want to get things, without having to work for it. That's the main thing. Like, and on top of that, like, because like even for example, back in the day, they used to have a lot of pickup artists. So I'm not a pickup artist. I'm a coach, like I'm a dating coach, relationship coach. But what pickup artists would do is that they would teach guys gimmicks and tricks and stuff to try to get girls to sleep with them quickly. So what happens is that it stems from that mindset of, okay, what can I do right now to get laid quick? And so what happens is that they have that mentality throughout the interactions that they're dealing with women. And so when it doesn't work or they don't really get, something going on, they get frustrated. But the reality is if you're a guy who's never really approached a woman, or you're scared to talk to girls and all that other stuff, you're going to have a hard time attracting women. So you have to work on yourself in order to become the type of guy that's attractive. And most guys don't want to actually put in work to become the type of guy that's attractive. You know what I mean? And also a lot of them too, what it is that they think it's just about looks. So then they're like, well, if I don't look a certain way, it's if I'm not a pretty boy, if I'm not like this super male model looking guy, it's over for me. You know what I'm saying? And so then what happens is that they don't even want to bother. You know what I mean? So I try to teach them like, hey, listen, there's so many, different facets of what makes a man attractive to women. And then I teach guys how to tap into that with themselves, become that, and then they're going to actually get women. You know what I'm saying? But they just don't want to put in the work. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, a lot of guys are totally lazy. They think that just, hey, I'm a guy doing my guy thing. So, I got a dick, so I don't have to do anything. Right. You can earn your way to being my girlfriend and giving me your money. I mean, I don't know. I mean, am I wrong or?
Right. Exactly.
Mostly advise guys here, but this is another question I had. I've tried to roster date, because I want to have a lot of options, just like the guys do, because I want to be like a guy. Why not? Right? I mean, they're running everything. And when I try to roster date, there's never a guy that's ever that interested in me. I'm always like the second-rate brunette that they kind of keep on the back burner and wait to see if something better comes along. And that's okay. If the guy's on a higher level than I am, I'll go along with it. But once I got a few guys going and in a rotation and I try to date them or whatever, they realize I'm not prioritizing any of them. And then I lose all of them. And I'm none of their priorities. So what is that about with guys?
Well, the thing is, if you're, they want you to be their priority first, and then they may think about being you being their priority. So what happens is that unless you find a guy where y'all are on the same level of interest, you understand, which usually is hard to find between men and women. That's like when you're really compatible with somebody, it just clicks. Usually that doesn't happen. Usually one person likes the other person more than the other person. You see what I'm saying? So you might have some guys that you like them more than they like you, and then you have the situations where they like you more than you like them. You see what I'm saying? And then so what happens is that's where the conflict comes in. So now if you're in a situation where let's say you're with a guy, the perfect situation is where y'all both like each other equally. But if you're in a situation where you're with a guy where he likes you more than you like him, right? He's already making you a priority because, he really likes you. But then if you're in that situation where you like the guy more than he likes you, right? The way to get that guy to really be about you is you have to tap into what he needs from you, meaning in order for him to want to keep you. So a lot of women don't understand this is that, like, let's say, for example, I don't know, let's say I like I'm trying to open a bakery or something and make cupcakes or whatever, right? Now, if I'm dating you and I know you like me, but I'm like, yeah, you're cool, whatever, right? What's going to make me like you more is if you run to the store, get me some sugar, some flour, help me do the cupcakes and all that other stuff. That's going to put you way up here. You know what I'm saying? So you go from a girl that's like, yeah, you're cool, into a girl like, I'm actually really liking this woman because she's providing me all these other things outside of sex that makes her special to me. You see what I'm saying? Because all the other girls I'm dating, they're not doing anything. We're just having sex. But this other girl I'm having sex with is also doing this other thing that I want. And that's kind of like where it goes. You know what I mean? But the best situation usually is when two people have that mutual attraction and energy for each other. You know what I'm saying?
Here's a question just for men here. Why can't men control their biological urges in the sense of like, they're so driven by a woman's fertility. They only want teenagers. And then if you're approaching 40, then they want to ditch you. They have to seek out variety. This is known. This is known kind of stuff. And guys still don't control it. Like, I control my urge not to have kids because I don't want to abuse a kid. But there's a biological drive for me to do it. So I didn't have 40,000 kids. That's probably why there's a limit on when women stop, stop being able to have kids, because then they'd have 1 billion kids, right?
Right.
So why can't guys see beyond their biological urges? It's like dating a straight male is like dating a wolf in the woods or like something like that. Something is totally desperate and wants to attack you, is predatory, and it can't control itself.
Well, I mean, it's just like guys do it because we don't need to control it. You understand, to an extent, or like what I'm saying is like we don't have to. You see what I mean? Like, it's just like anything else where you're gonna go with the path of least resistance. So the path of least resistance is, well, I feel horny. There's women available that I can have sex with. If I'm that type of guy, I'm gonna keep having sex with them. So like the problem is that women, and it's funny, there's a guy named Caleb Jones that I work with, and he basically said that what most women want is a guy that doesn't exist, which is a submissive alpha. So you want a guy who is an alpha, who's this like dominant, sexually attractive, like type of guy. But then he's also going to be like, yes, dear. What do you want, dear? Like that doesn't exist. You see what I mean? So the problem is that, I'll say, talking about the two different types of guys, you're either going to have the beta male who's going to bore you, or you're going to have the alpha male who's going to like annoy you because he's going to be having sex with all these other women. So it's like you got to choose which pick your poison. So that's really the main two things that happens. But the reason why guys aren't going to control it, the alphas that can do it, is that they can control it. It's not that they can't, because you have some guys who they know they can get other women, but they choose to be monogamous or choose to have that one girlfriend. But most guys like that know they can have more women, they're not going to stop. You know what I mean? Like they're going to, do it till the wheels fall off. They're just, you know what I'm saying? They're going to keep it going.
Why are they married? You know what I mean? Why get married? I've known guys like this. They're married, the wife's pregnant, and they're chasing OnlyFans models on Twitter.
Right.
What? You're chasing a prostitute? I mean, really? I don't get it. What is it? What's that about? Why do you get married?
Those are usually guys that had to get married. And what I mean is, those are the betas. Those are the guys, type of guys that get married, and then they go into OnlyFans and stuff. Those are the guys who they married that woman because that was their only option. You understand what I'm saying? So it's either those guys. It's because it's only like usually like those guys are the ones, the types that get married, and also the guys who have been brought up and conditioned to get married. Because there's a lot of guys out there who you would consider attractive, and this is the type of guy that most women would want, but it's the guy you would consider attractive, and he will marry that one woman and be with her. Doesn't mean he won't cheat. There's always a chance he could, but he wants to be with her because he's been brought up that way. Like he's been, raised in the church, and he's, you know what I mean? Like he's one of these like guys, but he's a probably good looking dude, works, everything's cool, whatever. But he's like, all right, I'm a one woman type of guy. That's his thought process. But at the end of the day, he still, at the end of the day, has the capacity to cheat, but he's brought up to not cheat and just be with that one woman. But again, none of it is 100% because, like you said, the way that guys' urges are, is just, it can't be stopped. It's like, it's in us. And the thing is, we act on it based off of usually the access we have to women. So if I know I'm a guy who can get girls and I know how to get girls and it's easy for me to get girls, I'm gonna probably keep going and having sex with women. And if I'm in a relationship, I'm probably gonna be non-monogamous. You see what I'm saying? Like myself, I'm non-monogamous because I can't like I cannot just like be with one woman. It's like it's crazy. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
How does your wife? I know you're married, but how does she put up with this and not get upset? I get upset if I'm in a relationship. As soon as I have sex with the dude, I get attached, which is why I just avoid that. And then if the guy's even talking to another woman, I get upset about that. Like, how does your wife put up with a polyamorous relationship?
Well, it's really just like, it's really mostly like a thing of, I would say it's a thing of value, basically, meaning she sees enough value in me to share me. So, for example, if I gave you $5 and I said, hey, you got to split that between, 3 people, you'd be like, nah, it's $5. I don't want to split this 5. Like, it's only $5. I want to keep all this 5 to myself. But then I said, hey, listen, there's $500 million here, but you can only get some of this if you split it between 4 people equally. You'd be like, all right, cool. At least I'm getting like $100-something million. You see what I'm saying? So therefore, you have no problem splitting 500 million, but you have a problem splitting $5. You see what I'm saying? Right. So the more valuable, the more likely you're willing to share. So that's how it is with women. When they see more value in the guy, they're like, well, I'd rather share him. I'd rather share the 500,000 than keep the 5 to myself. So the 5 is the regular guy. So the regular guy who's the $5 bill, that in her eyes, she's not going to want to share him because she's like, well, he's not that great anyway. So why would I even want to share this? That's not that great. But if I have something that's this great, I don't mind sharing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But did your relationship start off as a polyamorous marriage, or did it become a polyamorous marriage over time?
Oh, no, it started that way from the beginning. So when we first started dating, we're just dating or whatever. Right. And what happened was when she wanted to be my girlfriend, as time went on, she was like, oh, I want to be with you, whatever. And then so I was like, all right, well, listen, if we're together, we can be together. Like, you're my girlfriend, but I want to also see other women, and, you're free to see other dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you're going to do. But I'm like, we're going to have this open because I'm not just going to be with you. Like, it's just not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? And so we've been like that since we were just like boyfriend and girlfriend. And we've been together for like 15 years. You know what I mean? So it's just like, that's the way I was like, I want to do it. Cause my ex-girlfriend before her, we were monogamous, but then I was cheating on her. You know what I mean? I cheated on her like typical, yeah. Exactly. So I was like, if I get into a relationship again, I have to keep it open, non-monogamous, because I don't want to have to like sit there and cheat and lie. And I was like, that's too much of a headache. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, but so does this work with most guys? Do you think that they could actually approach a woman if they're a 9 and the woman is a 6? Do you think that they could be polyamorous?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on the guy and how he manages a situation, though. That's the problem, is that a lot of dudes don't really know how to manage a relationship with a woman, even with just one woman. You know what I'm saying? So if you can't do that, then it's going to be hard for you to do this. So I think what it is if the guy knows how to time management, being honest, being able to, master his emotions and be able to deal with, multiple women, then yeah, he can successfully do it. But it takes more than just, because a lot of guys think, oh, well, yeah, I want to do that because I want to have all the sex. It's not just about that. It's not that easy. A lot of it has to do with you're still, if you're in a relationship, you're still, you're doing what you would do in a normal, in a like, let's say a regular non-monogamous type of relationship, but like times, how many other women you're dealing with. So if you can't stand, or if you can't deal with one woman, and her emotions, you're not gonna be able to deal with two women or three women with their emotions. It's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was on a really hot guys roster. Okay, and I knew I was like one, maybe 6 or 7, because I would get a text around 7 o'clock at night, or and he thought he could keep me around by just texting hello on Snapchat, and then I would respond and say hey and try to talk to him, and he never said anything of substance. He was so attractive. I let this go on for 3 years, and I was like, that's it. The sex is bad. This, and he's saying hello, and then he's not telling me anything. He obviously has little to no interest. I'm done. I'm off the roster. So then I put an end to it. But I mean, how do guys keep that kind of thing going? Do they have to have conversation? Because I think most women would say if the sex is bad, there's not much conversation. See you later.
You had high interest in that guy, though. That's why he kept you around for so long, because you were highly interested in him.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So he didn't have to do all the extra texting and talking, and but you were that interested in him, which is why it lasted as long as it did. And so the guys who usually have to do more of that texting and all that other stuff is the guys that women are like not that interested in. Like she might have some interest, but she's not that interested. So I always say there's 3 levels of interest: high interest, medium interest, and low interest. So high interest is what, for example, what you had with that guy, where it was like you really liked him, even despite the fact that he was like, oh, he's all right in bed or whatever. But it was just like something about him that made you want to continue to see him, even though he didn't have to put in that much effort. You was all about him. Now, the medium interest is the guy that wants to, like, let's say he's like, hey, I want to hook up with you. And you're like, oh, but let's get to know each other more. Let's go on a date and let's talk and let me get to know. That's medium interest. So you like him, but you don't like him enough to just go sleep with him. You see what I'm saying? And then low interest is like a guy where, you might put in the friend zone, a guy you might, let him take you on a date, but you're not sexually attracted to him really at all. And you're going to kind of like tell him afterwards, like, hey, I don't feel a connection. We should just be friends. Like, you're kind of using him for attention, or he's like a rebound after a breakup. You just like that he's talking to you and texting you, but you don't really have any interest in him in that capacity. So that's the thing where I teach guys, listen, just find the women who have high interest in you. You know what I'm saying? Mostly focus on those women. That's kind of like what I try to teach guys,
Well, here's the thing. I don't agree with this. The woman is really interested. She's going to have sex with you right away. That's if she wants to hook up. I mean, if I'm really interested now, I try to hold off and get to know the guy, and then eventually have sex with him, so he'll respect me, because men are old fashioned and stuff. So if I actually want to have a long-term relationship, I really can't have sex right away as a woman, because men have these stupid double standards.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. That what you said right there, you said, if you want to have a long-term relationship with him. So if you want to have a long-term relationship with him, that means that you're interested in him as boyfriend material, most likely, meaning like, oh, I want something longer term. So when I'm talking about like high or medium interest, I'm talking about sexual. So if a woman has high sexual interest, she will definitely have sex with him quicker. But if you have high interest in him being a boyfriend, then definitely you're going to wait, because you're like, well, I don't want him to think I'm a slut, or I don't want him to think a certain way. So then I'm going to try to make him wait. But this is the key factor that women don't get, is that usually those type of guys that you make wait, those are usually end up being the boring beta male type of dudes, because those are the type of guys that's going to wait. You see what I'm saying? So a guy who's used to getting sex, he's most likely not going to wait. You know what I mean? The most he'll do is he'll say, hey, here's my number, call me when you're ready to have sex. And he'll just like keep it in that direction. You see what I'm saying? So
guys have never said that to me. They just go on one date. They say all this bullshit, and they keep lying and lying. And so I go back and say a lot of bullshit in a big circle to them, and then 1 or 2 sincere things. And then I don't see them anymore. So then they're gone. And it's like, well, I guess he just wanted to fuck me. The end,
Right. That also happens too. Yeah. That also happens too, It's tough out here. This game is, it's tough. That's why I try to teach people, because I also coach women too. So I teach people like, you gotta figure out who you're dealing with, you know what I mean? But also you got to figure out what you want exactly, so you can, cut through all the BS and get to where you want to go, Yeah.
Well, what would you advise, based on the stuff I've told you, and I don't want to take up all of your time. This has been a wonderful conversation. what would you advise me based on the crazy things I told you just now? I'm dealing with guys to try to find a dude long term.
Oh, so you want a long-term relationship type of situation? Okay, cool. Wait, where do you live? What city or state are you in?
I live in Lancaster, Massachusetts.
Oh, okay, so you're like all the way out there. Okay, cool. Well, this is the thing. If you want a long-term relationship, and this is the hard part for people to understand, men and women, is that what you might have to do is that you're going to have to find a guy who is good for a long-term relationship. And usually those aren't the hottest guys. You understand what I'm saying? Usually those aren't like the top, like, so basically what I'm saying is the guy that every woman wants is usually not the best guy for a relationship. You understand? The guy that most women aren't paying attention to, that's the guy that's best for a long-term relationship. So the guy that most women aren't paying attention to, but you like, that's the guy you want to get. You see what I'm saying? So you don't want to settle in a way where you're not interested in the guy. You want to find a guy that you're interested in, but he's not like the guy every woman is trying to get at. You see what I'm saying? Because if you
so like a five or six that is probably not going to cheat on you because you're a 7 and he's a 5.
Probably, yes. That's basically like what it is. It's kind of like, so that's the thing. You have to get a guy who, and this is the truth. You have to almost get a guy who feels like he's lucky to have you. You understand what I'm saying? Now, the problem is, if you get a guy who's the top guy, generally what's going to happen is that you're going to have to share him. So you're either going to have to get the top guy and share him, or get the guy over here and have them to yourself. So again, the 500 million over here or the $5. So that's really all it is. You know what I mean? Those are usually the choices. But unfortunately, the reason why for a lot of women it's hard because women keep chasing the 500 million. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, unless you're trying to share, usually that's not going to go down. So either you're going to share where you're sharing, or you're going to share where you don't know you're sharing, meaning he's going to cheat. You know what I'm saying? So that's usually what's the end all be all to it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, the 5 will cheat down on you. He'll screw anyone or anything. They're going to be like really bad, right? I mean,
right, exactly.
Men just want any variety. It doesn't even matter. Do men even have standards, or do they have to is there a point in time where they say, all right, I'm going to decide I like chicks that look like this because I want to fuck everyone?
Right. Well, the thing is, men's standards are super low when it comes to sex. Like, they'll have sex with a gorilla if you put in a nice skirt or something like that. but it's like, when it comes to like a long-term relationship though, most men have most men have more of a standard. I wouldn't say highest standard, but they have some sort of a standard when it comes to a long-term relationship. You know what I mean? Now, the more needy the guy is, the lower his standard is. Meaning, like, if it's a guy who's never had a woman before, he has trouble getting women, and if just a decent looking, regular, nice woman gives him a chance, he's ready to be with her forever. He's like, I'm marrying this woman. You know what I'm saying? But the more attractive the guy is, the higher his standard is. And when I say attractive, I'm not even just talking about looks. I'm talking about attractive overall, meaning he has the look, appearance, his confidence, his swag, he got the money, like everything about him is top notch. His standard is way higher as far as a relationship is concerned, because especially if he's going to get into a monogamous relationship, what he's saying is, I'm giving up all of these women that potentially want to be with me for this one woman. So she has to be like up here. You see what I'm saying?